Welcome back to Appalachian Dim Sum.
Where entertainment is our comfort food.
And this is our first pocket episode.
Yeah.
And so we're recording this to post when we can't get together for a week.
Yeah.
It may be the next thing that we post. It may be something we post months down the road.
Yeah. We'll try to get a few of these in our pockets
There you
go. To have. This will be the first one, and we probably will have to burn it sooner than later.
Right.
But that's just because my schedule gets a little bit insane here pretty quickly from now. But
which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And what are we going to talk about?
We are going to talk about the Dark Tower. Probably not so much as the series. I guess we'll talk about a little bit different things with it.
Yeah.
The series, kind of some development possibilities with it, and then probably end up with some fan castings.
Yep.
I guess probably the best way to summarize what we're going to do.
Yeah. Now, with the Dark Tower as a series, I've read the Gunslinger and the Drawing of the Three.
Yeah.
And that was like 10 years ago now that I read the Drawing of the Three. So I'm not real versed on the Dark Tower. So I'm going to be, depending on your knowledge here.
And when you get into like trying to fan cast this thing, as you go through the books, there are lots of characters to cast. You literally, to do this in any kind of like recorded media, film or series or whatever they do, will take an immense amount of people. There's a lot of characters, but I think when we get into that part of it, we're just going to focus on the main group of people, and I'm going to bring in a few more that are ones that are kind of important characters, I think, in the story for me, the ones that I want to see cast a certain way. I just want to see them cast accurately, which I guess you have to specify that nowadays.
Really, that's all. I think most fans, that's all we really want is casting that is both accurate and respectful to the characters.
The Odyssey.
I've only seen some
it's getting
some
worse.
Pictures and stuff.
It's getting worse, man.
I think I've decided that that's Nolan paying his toll. You know, sometimes you have actors who do a movie and they just kind of got to do it just to appease the.
We can talk about this more later. I'm very curious to know whether or not what his understanding of it is, because there's a 2017 book. There was a reimagining
of the Odyssey
by a progressive feminist that wanted to deal with all the issues of the patriarchy, and
it sounds kind of like what they're going to be doing with Narnia.
And I think I kind of wonder if, like, does he know that there was a translation before then, or did he just read that one? Because it kind of looks like he's basing what he's doing off of that book that this crazy woman did.
Okay.
And I don't know. That's been my hesitation. The longer we go into the future with the Dark Tower not being already produced, is they become less likely that it's ever going to be anything that's not just somebody's weird twist on it. They already tried it once. I mean, good gosh, the first thing. And whatever that mission is to try to make me dislike Idris Elba, I love him as an actor. He's a great actor. And why they keep throwing him onto all these roles, trying to make me not like him. It's like, why on earth did you cast him as Roland Deschain? There's just no. He could have been in that story in a variety of ways. I could have picked 18 different characters he could play, but not Roland.
I'm wondering if it's kind of like the whole Ghost in the Shell thing with Scarlett Johansson, where like the justification for Scarlett Johansson playing, well, not even Matoga, she playing the Major.
Yeah.
Is, well, we needed a name attached to the project in order to get it funded.
Well, I mean, they got two. They got Matthew McConaughey coming too, and that's the.
I don't know. Just from someone who's just read the first two novels, I mean, Matthew McConaughey is just as bad at casting. I mean,
no, it's worse as a character. It's a worse casting.
Yeah, he doesn't exude the Man in Black to me at all.
The devil walking the earth, trying to just break everything into darkness.
Yeah.
All
right.
It's not all right. It's like, really.
And I love Matthew McConaughey. I love his work, but
could you pick like the maybe Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers would have been a more menacing Man in Black.
Rob Schneider.
Rob Schneider is the Man in Black.
And we'll be back. We'll talk about the Gunslinger as like a series before we get into the fan casting.
Yeah.
All right. All right, we're back talking about the Gunslinger, and since I haven't really read the series or consumed a lot of the media from it, I'm just going to kind of go through it. You can tell me, you can say what you want about this stuff. First question is, how many of the books have you read?
I've read them all.
You read them all? Okay, so
I read them. The Gunslinger is the hardest one to get through. It is moderately entertaining, I guess is the best way to say it. It's not the best written story. It's not. It really is just like he meets Jake, he goes after the guy, after the Man in Black, encounters a bunch of like trolls in a cave, and I mean, there's not a lot of plot line to the story itself. I haven't read some of these for a little while,
right.
So I don't want to get into too many details that I can't remember, because it's been since we were at the railroad that I read them. I started reading them as a conductor before I even came into dispatch, because we had so much time on the road and stuff where it was like, I need something else to do. And really, by the time the Gunslinger was like, okay, I got through that. That was okay. You read the second one and it's like, oh, this is pretty good. By the time you get to the second one, if you're either in it or you're not.
Because I read the first one and I really enjoyed the first one. I liked the limited scope.
Yeah.
And that is one thing that, from what I understand with the Gunslinger, that if I'm enjoying the limited scope of the Gunslinger, yeah, it's going to go off the rails for you.
Yeah.
I did like the drawing of the three, but it narratively, it did seem a lot different, because kind of the feeling I got from the first novel was it's like a fantasy Western. It's like almost like a D&D kind of world. But then it goes like into like straight up sci-fi.
If you go back into just Stephen King talking about this thing, he says that he is influenced by The Lord of the Rings, Arthurian legend, and The Good and the Bad and the Ugly. Those are kind of the Clint Eastwood, Sergio Leone trilogy of cowboy movies. And
I always heard that he considered it to be like his Canterbury Tales. I don't know where I heard that.
Probably Stephen King.
Yeah, maybe
on video after doing some coke at some point. But
so which of the because let's go through it real quick. You have the Gunslinger was in 1982, Drawing of the Three 1987, The Wastelands 1991, Wizard and the Glass 97, The Wolves of the Kala was 2003, The Song of Susanna was 2004, and then The Dark Tower, which is the last novel chronologically, is 2004.
Yeah, he released The Wind Through the Keyhole in 2012, which is like, comes back into the middle. That's the only thing that I have. I started reading that and could not get into it, so that's the only thing that I have not read.
It says it was set between The Wizard and the Glass and The Wolves of the Kala. I wonder if, like, someone like me, let's say I want to read the series, should I read that in between those two novels?
I don't know, because I haven't read it.
That's something I'll Google. But people will have opinions. It's kind of like Star Wars. They have like, this is, if you've never watched Star Wars, watch it in this order kind of thing.
If I was going to go through like what I enjoy the most, it's probably between The Wizard and Glass and The Wolves of Kala.
Okay. That's funny that the Wind Through the Keyhole, something you didn't care much for, was right between those two.
I didn't read enough of it to get into it. I started reading it, and it was a good bit of time after I'd finished the whole series when it came out 2012, because I was doing this back in probably 2007, 2008, something like that. So it was years before The Wind in the Keyhole even came out. Or I remember it coming out. It's like, oh, I'll go pick that up. I probably needed to have read it closer to the time frame of reading the other stuff to probably really get into it and enjoy it. The Wizard and Glass is kind of, when they went back and did the first Dark Tower Marvel series, that's what that's based off of.
Okay.
Wizard and Glass is the prequel story of Roland when he's young and all this stuff. And that's how they started the comic series.
All right, before we get into that, The Little Sisters of Elora, did you ever read that?
Yeah, I read all of them.
Oh, you read that as well.
Yeah.
That was a not novel prequel. Novella prequel.
No.
No?
No, I did not read that. I'm sorry.
Okay.
That's
that was in 98.
That's 1, 2, 3. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a little short thing.
Yep. Little novella that's usually a couple hundred pages if that.
Yeah, no, I don't know where that is in the
It says it's a prequel adventure to the Gunslinger. That's the only information I have.
Yeah. No, I've read through the main books.
Right.
They have the books labeled the Gunslinger 1, 2, 3. I think it's 7 of them.
Yeah.
So I guess that makes sense that's an eighth that doesn't fall into that. The Song of Susanna is I'm sorry, the Walls of Kala is why I'm like very attached to the casting that I would want to see done for Susanna Dean or Odetta Holmes. Because she is, from that point in the story on, she's kind of like, she's a major part of the story. She's a really cool part of the story. I mean, she isn't all of the ones prior to that too, but that was kind of the one that kind of made me really like, I love this character. And I don't know how to get into it without getting into the details of the story, but it's in a wasteland kind of era where she's already kind of learning to be a gunslinger using the revolvers and stuff with Roland.
And clearly a light spoiler. So she's not in the wheelchair?
No, most of the time that he's carrying her on his back.
Oh, so she's not like healed or anything.
No, her legs are gone.
Gunslinger carried on the back.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But
I imagine that could be useful for a gunslinger.
In the Wolves of Kala, she meets with these I think they're the Sisters of Ariza or something. Okay. I don't remember the exact name. And they're this like group of women who have like sharpened metal discs that they throw and like have the accuracy of like, snipers. And she trains with them and learns to use those. And I've seen T-shirts and like artwork and stuff of like her holding the discs and all this kind of stuff, and I'm like, man, that has to make it to film at some point. It's like, and if you screw that up, I will never forgive whoever does that, because the wolves. I don't know how much you want to spoil anything with the books.
There's enough to where I don't feel like there's anything you can.
I don't think it's a huge spoiler.
Yeah.
The wolves are robots.
Okay.
But they're enforcers that are coming to like prey on the city, and like to take them out, like you have to like decapitate like this little like CPU thing they have on their head, and she's just like she's taking out people like crazy, just slinging discs. Nice. And it's like I've read it and imagined it. And
you have that in your head. You got to do this right.
This will be epic on film. And
the comic series, like you were saying, adapts Wizarding Glass.
Yes.
Now
that really is the best narrative story of the whole thing. Because it takes you back to like young Roland, how he became a gunslinger, and to like a early love interest, and like how, what is his name, Walter, that is basically the man in black that's existing in this like early story. They're pulling strings and Roland already starting to like fight against him, and it's that by itself is a standalone. That could be more than one movie,
right?
It would be a very good series, but it's one of those things. I don't know what the right way to do it is, whether or not you'd be better if you're going to make media out of this, if you'd be better off to just start with that. So you get background.
That's what they decided with the comics. So,
or if you'd be better to just throw the gunslinger out there, have that story, have an aged Roland starting this quest out and then coming back later. It's one of those things you could either get that really right, or you could screw up the whole thing doing that.
Yeah. I almost, thinking of what the gunslinger is, I'm almost like, if they did like a accurate gunslinger film, because I don't think there's enough in the gunslinger. Like it would be like 1 or 2 episodes of the show.
Yeah, no, the Gunslinger is easy.
Yeah,
just an hour and 45-minute movie.
You could do like a long episode, like for the first episode to say the Gunslinger, and then go back to Wizarding Glass.
Yeah. Because I mean, really, once you start the drawing of 3, it is kind of a big break in the narrative to go back and do a flashback for a whole.
Well,
400
just from
500 pages of book.
Now, I read The Gunslinger Born and some of The Long Road Home, but it was one of those things where like it was so different because I hadn't read the novels. It was so different from what I was expecting the Gunslinger to be. I kind of fell out of it.
Yeah.
So I actually don't know what comics of this I have. There's a whole bunch of them. The Gunslinger Born, Long Road Home, Treachery, The Fall of Gilead. It's Gilead's the city that he was born in, right?
Yeah.
The Battle of Jericho Hill, Journey Begins, The Battle of Tull, The Man in Black, and then Last Shots, which is collecting a few like shorter tales.
I think if I remember correctly, if you go down to
and then like
the Battle of Jericho Hill is the kind of the end of the Wizard and Glass stuff,
right?
And then it jumps into the Gunslinger. But it seemed like there was more comics than that on. I don't know.
Well, these are collected editions.
Oh,
these are like the trade paperbacks.
I got you.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, there's a lot of comics.
I thought I had a lot more comics than just 5. Yeah. But yeah.
And then there were one shots, and the one shots was The Sorcerer, which follows the motives of the Dark Tower villain Martin Bradcloak, which is the Man in Black, right?
Yeah.
Then there's a guidebook.
Yeah, like Walter Odom, Martin, they're all supposed to be these different. I guess it's the same character, Randall Flagg.
Right, different worlds.
Just different iterations or different appearances of him. It's kind of probably hard to describe that because probably on some realm or some measure of that, I haven't read all enough Stephen King stuff to fully understand if he even understands what he meant Randall Flagg to be.
Right.
But I've always just been like he's either Satan or Satan's like general walking the earth.
Yeah.
Something along those lines.
I'm thinking about how in the Old Testament a lot of times they'll talk about the angel of the Lord, and there's a lot of theological discussion between, well, was that God or was it an angel that was representing God?
Yeah.
It could kind of be like that, where he's like
Satan being a fallen angel. I guess that makes sense that he.
Well, it could be like a manifestation of Satan.
All the other fallen angels, there's Satan's the leader, and the others are minions.
Let's see. They have the Gunslinger Guidebook, which I'm definitely interested in getting. Ever since I was real young, and the Archie Comics came out with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle encyclopedia. It's like a source book, and it's just like, here's a page of this character, and here's like information about that character. That format really appeals to me. I love that kind of stuff. So
I've got to get back into my box. I think I have all of those because I was picking up. I was going to our local comic place.
Yeah.
And when Terry was still around and running that, you could be like, just pull this stuff for me, and you go there and pick it up. And she was pulling all of that for me at the time. So I'm pretty sure I have all of it.
I actually went to the comic store this couple days ago to pick up my stack that I had waiting for me, and I noticed that they had a couple of issues of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, and it was issue 3 and 4. I get in the rears in comics a lot, where I gather a lot, and then I'm like, I got to read these 10 issues, and I'll sit down and read 10 issues at once, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I didn't know I was getting Mutant Mayhem, and I was like, see, you pulled it for me because I asked you to pull anything, all the IDW TMNT stuff. I didn't know they were doing a Mutant Mayhem series, and I told them, I was like, I'll pay for these, but take it off my list. I do not want this, which I'm happy about because I'm always looking at ways to say, don't give me this comic because IDW is going nuts with it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what you experienced, where you were like, there's too much stuff coming out. You're giving me too much.
What broke me was I think I've said it before, when they were doing the Dark Times series of Darth Vader, Dark Horse Comics, when Darth Vader first became Darth Vader, it was supposed to be sort of like stories of immediately after him becoming it. And all of a sudden I went back in and it was like, well, here's Rebels and here's this and here's that. And I was like, I don't want any of that. It's like, well, it's Star Wars Dark Horse stuff. I'm like, great. Okay. It's like, if you pulled it for me, I'll pay it for you just to be decent about it. As I really shouldn't, but stop pulling stuff. Don't pull anything else for me again. And that was the end of
that's always what breaks me with comics, is I'll get into it and then you try to keep up with it, but the publishers just keep making more and more, and they're like, well, if you want the rest of this story, you have to go to this other comic. And that breaks me after a while. It's just like, you're giving me too many comics. I can't keep up with it. It's really expensive. Comics are $5 a pop now. It's ridiculous. Anyway, that's not this. These comics, you also have the End World Almanac, which just gives background to the people, places, and mythology of the Dark Tower series, and the Dark Tower Guide to Gilead. And this was just like excerpts, additional writings, like notes, that kind of stuff. Which, okay.
It was, excuse me, it was a very cool thing for Marvel to do, to get into this, because you're sitting here looking at the actual 7 books, not all the stuff that is included with it of the whole series. I don't know if there's a book that's less than 400 pages. The Gunslinger is pretty. We've actually got it sitting right here. It is the short. I'm pretty sure it's the shortest of the bunch, and it's only like 230.
And I'm sure it's different with like different printings. It's probably different thicknesses.
But still, somewhere in that 200 to 300 page range there. Everything else is thick stuff. Some people have to look at that and just be like, nah, there's just no way. And you can actually pick up the comics to kind of get through the whole story, and it's beautifully illustrated. The comic work is. I don't know. I know Jay Lee seems like it sticks out in my head as a name from the comics. I don't know. I don't know if you can see on that stuff.
Jay Lee.
Like, I think it's like JAE Lee. Seemed like he was one of the major ones that I always saw his name. It always stuck out to me because it was kind of a unique looking name. I don't know who else was involved, and that stuff doesn't mean anything to me because I don't keep track of comic illustrators and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, you could go just pick that up if you just know there's no way I'm getting through these 7 books. Just go through the comics, and it's just as an enjoyable of an experience. You probably miss a little bit of detail, a little bit extra stuff, but you get the main points.
The comics aren't complete though. They didn't finish the Dark Tower story.
Did they? Okay.
Yeah.
I know I picked up the ones that when it switched to the Dark Tower and the Gunslinger stuff. I picked those up, and I don't think I ever read them because it was just like I was buying comics at that point and sticking them in a box.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That happens to me. I get the comic, stick it in a box. I come back to it months later.
So I've never even paid attention to whether or not they finished that whole thing or not. But
it's looking like leading up to the novels and an adaptation of the first 2 books.
Okay.
They're not a full adaptation of the whole. Well, that's not true because it has the Wizarding Glass. That's like the 3rd or 4th book, right?
Well, yeah, that's what they started with though in the comics,
right?
So,
let's see.
The fact that they don't get to the Wolves of Kala, then I don't want to get into.
Right, I don't think they do.
Yeah.
It says the published comic series largely covers up through the events of the Drawing of the Three, book 2, with some material covering Roland's early years before the main novel began. Yeah. And apparently, the Marvel had the rights for the comics from 2007 to 2018. They no longer have the rights. The publishing rights is with Gallery 13, which is an imprint of Scheiman and Schuster. I don't know any of this stuff. None of this sounds familiar to me. But they're really focusing on just keeping the collections being in print. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
So they're not really doing any new stuff, which even if they did, they probably couldn't get the same writers or same artists. So I don't know. I don't even know if it would even be something that would feel right.
I've drifted so far away from the comic world. And the only news I see about it is when they're just doing weird stuff that is stuff I don't want any part of anyway. And
speaking of weird stuff,
my image of that would just be that they would have Roland with like pink hair and a nose ring, and he would have pronouns or something, and I'm just like, nah.
Maybe not quite that weird, but maybe in different ways even weirder. Charlie the Choo Choo is a children's book that was written by Stephen King under the name Beryl Evans.
Yeah.
It's a story that's in the world of the Dark Tower. They just made it real.
Yeah. The other part that I really enjoy, and I think it's the hardest part to ever probably put into film, is where I think that's in the Wastelands, where they just looking to see if one of them has a picture of the train on the front. Is that? I'm pretty sure that's
the Wastelands. Yeah, that is the Wastelands.
Okay. Yeah, this picture of the wasteland shows the first time the Crimson King comes after Susanna.
Okay.
But a large portion of that book is them in a battle of wits with Blaine the Mono, and it's a monorail with like an AI that's in charge of it that they're on, and it's basically
him and his sentient machines.
It's basically taking them to the end of the track to just smash them and just blow himself up and kill them.
Okay.
But because it's so smart and it thinks it's smarter than everything, they kind of get into they trick it into like this battle of the wits, and it gets into like a whole like oh my goodness, um I can't think of the word, where they're doing little mysteries that you have. What do you call them?
I don't know what you're going after.
Hang on, let me pull it up here and see, because it'll probably tell you. I think it's in. If you need to pause for just a second.
Well, while you're looking that up, there's the other things I wanted to talk about was just mention that if you want the Dark Tower comic books in like an omnibus version, that does exist. It's like $200, but I'm like, for what you get, that's actually pretty good.
This is what's bad about when you get to be 50 in your brain. I was trying to think of the word riddle.
Okay.
I could not get that word out of my worn out old gray matter up here.
All right.
Like they found out in talking to Blaine that it likes riddles.
Sure.
And they get into this contest of like trying to solve them.
Yeah.
And the way it resolves itself is so funny. It's probably one of the most clever things that Stephen King's probably ever done.
That makes me think of the
riddles.
That makes me think of the Labyrinth film where it's like there's the two doors. One of us always tells the truth and one of us always lies. I saw a comic with that, and they came across not those doors, but it was the same idea. And it was like two guards. One of us always tells the truth. One of us always lies. And it was like a wizard and a barbarian. And the barbarian kills one of them. And he goes, "Is he dead?" And he says, "Yes. This one tell truth." I'm like, great. That's perfect. But the other...
I've always wondered, like, how would you... They showed, like, the image they had drawn for the covers on one of the paperbacks we have, and it almost looks like a steam engine with, like, this, like, evil-looking Thomas the Tank face on it.
Right.
And I was like, God, that's awful. That can't be what it looks like. I'm always picturing, like, a bullet train with some sort of, like, maybe screen or something that had some sort of face or something on it. And how they do that in the movie or show that they end up doing it would be very interesting to see.
Yeah, the image I'm looking at here from the Wastelands is just like a skull. Like a skull on the front of the train.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. That's kind of H.R. Giger-ish.
Yeah, so I don't know. That part is very fun to read.
Now, I'm assuming you haven't read the Choo Choo one. The Charlie the Choo Choo.
I don't remember how that's brought up in the books. I know they're back and forth between like was it like 70s?
Isn't that early in the books? Like isn't that in the
they're going back and forth between like 70s New York and then going back into like the wastelands and stuff like that. And it seems like it's a book that Jake sees or Jake knows or something. I don't remember those details.
Because I feel like I remember Charlie the Choo Choo and reading about it. So
so it would have probably been the first or the second book, I guess.
Oh no, it's in the Wastelands, book 3. Now see, I did start the Wastelands, but I don't know how far I got into it. That's why I don't say I read it, because it could have just been like the first.
I can't remember how it plays into it. I don't.
It says Jake buys the book. Beryl Evans, which is a pseudonym for Stephen King, tells the story of Charlie and Engineer Bob, a sentient locomotive who's replaced by diesel engine. I'm just kind of wondering if this is one of those like. It looks like it from the art. It's one of those like children's books, but it's really meant for adults.
Yeah.
Don't give to your kids, people.
Don't give anything to your kids that involves Stephen King.
No, Stephen King, no, definitely not. And the last thing I want to talk about, I didn't know if you had this. There's a complete concordance to Stephen King's The Dark Tower.
No.
I just, when I was looking up, I looked up Dark Tower and other media. And that's what I came up with. There's also obviously a full audiobook productions And there was, for a time, a video game on the website, like on Stephen King's website, which is funny because you can still go to where the video game is like on the website. You click it and it's like 404. It's not there anymore because it's Java based, and Java's like gone from the internet now.
Yeah.
But I watched a video of it. I'm trying to see what the name, excuse me, what it was called. I don't see it. Doesn't really matter. But it was almost like a one of those hidden objects games where it just had like images that you had to look around and click things and pick up items and stuff like that. I'm assuming someone who enjoys the Dark Tower series, they might get like a bunch of references through it, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's really it for like what the media of the Dark Tower covers.
Yeah.
It's a lot of stuff.
You could do at least a year-long podcast just on the books.
Well, there is a podcast called Kingslingers, I think it's called.
Okay.
And it's like just all about Stephen King, and they've done deep dives into all the Dark Tower stuff. So
yeah. It would be fun. It'd probably be easier to go back and kind of already reading through them once and read it a second time.
Mm-hmm.
But it's an undertaking. But it's one of those things, though. It's almost the first time I read Jurassic Park from Michael Crichton. I read probably 30 or 40 pages of it, and was like, went in, ate dinner real fast with my parents, and came back and sat down and read. I think I read Jurassic Park in 2 days, maybe into a third to finish it. I forget exactly how long, but just couldn't stop reading it. And kind of once you get into the first book is a little slow. The second book kind of comes in, and you're like, wow, this is
weird.
This is weird. With the little
the lobstrosity guys. What?
The lobstrosities and the Danijel. Yeah. And he ends up losing some fingers, and you're like, wow, that's kind of detrimental to the idea of this guy being a gunslinger. Once you kind of get into that whole story of it, it really does start to kind of run to where there's a few segments that get a little bit a little slow, but there's not very many. Yeah. The worst parts of it is where they actually go to find Stephen King, and that part's
that's funny.
I could have done without that. That's really not important to the story, and he just works himself into it.
Hey, he likes his cameos.
And when you get to the end of it too, it's like it comes back into the area of Stephen King doesn't know how to finish his work, and he's just pulling in stuff from different properties, and like kind of, it's like it almost seems like he watched this and he read that and he just pulled some stuff from it and just kind of threw it into this. And I won't say how it all ends, but it's they're sneeches from Harry Potter.
Okay.
And you're like, what? Why is there Harry Potter in this?
But for all intents and purposes, the Dark Tower series is done.
Oh yeah,
right? It's like there's not going to be anything new from the Dark Tower, as far as we know.
I'll say, reading through it, there's some really great stuff in the middle, and you will be a little bit just kind of like, okay, that's how it ends.
Well, I'll tell you what, looking at how George R.R. Martin is doing with the Game of Thrones books or Song of Fire and Ice books, be thankful that he finished it. Because I know at one point that was like the whole thing is like, is he ever going to finish this? So at least it's done.
He was on the right spot to finish this. It just gets kind of messy.
Right.
In how he was trying to incorporate stuff that it didn't need to be incorporated into it. He probably could have wrapped it up in a shorter last book, because you know where it was leading.
Right.
It was leading to a sort of a final battle thing. It's like, just go have the battle. Yeah. It's like Lord of the Rings. You know where Lord of the Rings is going. Yeah. They're going to get there and they're going to throw the ring in, and that's going to be the end of it. It's like, we don't have to have 18 million side stories in it to just get to where we know it's going.
Well, going forward in the future, the Dark Tower media that we are going to get is kind of like what we got in 2017, which is adaptations of the series.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about some of your, like, if this could have happened, it would have been cool, and what you would like to see.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. We'll talk a little bit about what seems to be planned for this thing, and we'll see if that ever actually happens.
Yeah. But that'll be in the next section.
Yep.
All right. Welcome to the fan casting section of our Dark Tower discussion.
Yeah. This has been done.
Oh yeah.
People online.
Oh yeah.
To infinity. and beyond. I've seen so many people cast. They should do this and do this. It's like, have you read it? It's like I don't think so. You're picking somebody that you like from Marvel movies and like trying to stick them into this thing. It's like I'm not sure you understand the story.
I would love to see, and I guarantee someone's discussed it before, where they like just take the Marvel actors, be like Robert Downey Jr. could be the Man in Black, that kind of thing.
Half the time when you look up something, if you go to Reddit and it's like, here's my dream cast for
There's-
like the Dark Tower series, that's literally what they've done. It's
There's-
like
Chris that-
Hemsworth would be this guy.
Yeah,
and
that's your first issue is you went to Reddit. So
yeah. Well, half the time when it seems to me, and I don't know if that's algorithm based, like half the time when I search something, that's half the time the first response that comes up.
Well, the issue with that is that's all that's left. Like we used to have, it used to be like there would be a Dark Tower forum. You go there and they talk about different books. You go in there and talk about the characters, and you go in there and you post something because it's the Dark Tower, and the people respond because they're there for the Dark Tower. But now all of that is just it is on Reddit. The only place you can go to find someone to talk about a specific topic is Reddit. All the individual forums are either dead or they got overrun by bots at some point.
No more Ask Jeeves.
Yeah, oh yeah, R.I.P. Jeeves. But anyway.
So talking about the casting of this, I've said this before, we're talking about in the last segment. If you wanted to go through all these books and get into the individual characters, you're talking about probably 70 or 80 castings of people.
That'd be a fun job, though, wouldn't it? Be a casting director for the Dark Tower.
I would think at some point you need to be like, yeah, does he have hair? Yeah, okay, that works. Because it's so many people.
Yeah.
In doing this, I think the way to do it is you talk about these characters. Obviously, Roland Deschain, who's the gunslinger. The first person that he kind of encounters, other than chasing after the Man in Black, is Jake Chambers. That's the kid. Then when you get into the drawing of the three, that adds in Eddie Dean and Susanna Dean, who's also known as
Odetta
Holmes, because she has a split personality. And I think that's why this show will probably never get done right, because I think there's going to be people just too scared to ever do that character.
Yeah. Yeah, and Stephen King, and he has been criticized for it, but he's rough around the edges with some of his language that he uses in his novels.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the point of the character, one of the better parts of the story is the relationship between Roland and Susanna and Odetta. Those are just two people.
Right.
But it kind of becomes like where he has to call on Odetta because Susanna can't get him out of the situation. He needs Odetta to show up and just.
Well, Odetta is like the balls to
Odetta is the
tough as nails. She's ready to go.
Southern, Mississippi or Alabama, traditional old foul mouth black woman. Susanna Dean is the. I think she's the daughter of. It's basically like the family that invented Crest.
Okay.
It's not called that. It's just like it's a giant. It's like a huge corporation. So she's from wealth, super refined, all this stuff, and the way that she is in a wheelchair and has to be carried is that she gets in 1970s New York, whenever that's supposed to happen, as Susanna, she gets pushed in front of a subway in New York and gets her legs cut off, and that's what triggers the break in her psyche, and she has this alternate personality called Odetta Holmes that surfaces, and she's just, I mean, foul mouthed, says all sorts of things that you don't want to repeat.
Yeah.
But is also like fearless and like decisive, and as those two kind of start like their love-hate relationship and kind of get through the hate part of it, Roland and her kind of come to common ground, and like he knows is like, when I need Odetta, things are going to get real. Like when she shows up, she's a badass, and I love that part. But those characters are Susanna Dean. I don't know if I said Eddie Dean. I think I did. He's sort of like the druggy character that gets pulled into the story. He's like an addict. From there, I'm not going to cast all of these. Susan Delgado would be a huge casting because that's kind of the other main character in The Wizard and the Glass, which again, that's kind of that could be a standalone series in itself if you just did that story. Father Callahan is kind of a key role in it. He's appeared in other Stephen King stuff. He appeared in Salem's a lot.
Okay.
Don't remember if he has an appearance in like Needful Things. I can't remember if I've ever actually read that or if I've just seen the movie, but regardless. Um, the other sidekick character is like this little creature. It's like a little, I don't know what. He's like a little badger, half dog, half thing called Oi. I don't know. At this point, that would obviously be a CGI thing.
Yeah.
And whoever you cast for that, it doesn't matter because it's going to be CGI.
Yeah. I was like, the fan drawings look like a little ferret.
Yeah, it's this weird. It's a Billy Bumbler, so I think they call it, or something.
Does he speak?
Kind of.
Like but it's like intelligent.
It's like mostly saying its name, like okay. It's almost like a Pokemon.
Like Groot.
But it plays a part in helping them a lot. Shimi is kind of a character that we probably work into it. So is Court. Court's the guy that trains Roland when he's young. He trains all of the gunslingers. I love that part of the story, and that like the gunslingers, before they get guns, they're trained with like hawks, so they learn to fight.
I remember that from the comic.
They learn to like the command hawks and fight each other with them, and I'm like, wow, that's awesome. That's why Robert Kennedy Jr. should be our president, and he should carry like a falcon around with him everywhere. Whenever he goes to negotiate with people, just have a bird on his arm, like, yeah, this is what we're gonna do, and they'd be like, yes, sir. Those would be the main good guy castings. The bad guy castings would be, again, from the Wizard and Glass stuff. John Farson is a major character there. Randall Flagg, the Man in Black, Walter O'Dim, that's all one person. I guess you would have one person probably portray him and probably dress him up different ways throughout the story. And then the Crimson King, at this point, would obviously be a CGI character too. I saw on Reddit, everybody's like, oh, Mark Hamill should be the Crimson King. I'm like, no. You will guarantee that I will not watch it if you do that. So no, I do not allow it.
Why do they think Mark Hamill? Just because they love Mark Hamill?
Because the same reason that they would pick the people from Marvel. They know what they know, and they don't think outside of what they know. And if you wanted to do this right and have it be epic, you've got to get outside of this little like window, this little closed world of movie stuff that happens right now.
Even though we're going to go through some of your thoughts of like what would have been great back, 15 years ago or so, and what might work today. I'm always a proponent of like find people who aren't a part of Hollywood, like find no names. Yeah. I think that's always the best. Is like if you're going to be casting for this, like really like these iconic roles, find new people that can like embody the role.
I could go through and cast this whole thing from Scandinavia.
There you go.
Listen, you get into some of like the some of the Viking movies and shows and stuff, there's a whole slew of people that would fit every need of this thing, and it wouldn't be a name that anybody would know. Yeah. And as long as they could speak enough English to get by, we could get there. But and when you get into like the casting of this stuff, this thing has almost come into production at least 3 different times in my lifetime. Like the first time was like 92-ish. Like Universal and Ron Howard, they had all the stuff lined up to go with this thing, and that's when a lot of people were fan casting it because they saw that this deal was getting worked out. See if I can find that little thing. This is a story from 2010 reporting on Universal is making a deal with Ron Howard that'll serve as the first film in the trilogy, first season of a TV show. So like Ron Howard was trying to plan through Universal a movie, a TV show, a movie, a TV show, and a movie to do the whole thing. He had Akiva Goldsman was going to write the script. And then they had these names are not names I know. Carrie Foster, Todd Halliwell, Erica Huggins were all in to be the executive producers.
So
this was almost inked, and Universal was like, nah, that's too much. And they backed out of it. And I guess if you don't write Ron Howard check, Ron's like, thanks, bye, it's been fun. And he actually had one of his original castings is one of mine. and
Okay.
that's why I've had this image in my head, is because this is when he thought he was going to get this done. He announced that he'd already talked to this actor and he was going to do this.
Did what character was it
For Roland?
for Roland? Is that the only one he announced?
That was the first one.
Okay.
And I don't know if he had reached out to other people and stuff, but he was like, I think he'd already talked to Javier Bardem, and
Okay.
Bardem was like, yeah, let's
Okay.
do that. And this was in 2010. He was younger.
Yeah.
Well,
when was No Country for Old Men?
it's pretty close to that.
2007.
Yeah.
So yeah, and especially the flair, I'll say, of the character he played in that, I could see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you go back and look at some of the other smaller stuff that he did some foreign films and stuff back then. He was just on his game at the time.
Now, did the groundwork of what Ron Howard lay, did that go into the 2017 film at all? Like,
no.
Okay.
No, that was like what was that guy's name? It was like Nikolai something. It was like a Russian dude.
Okay, so it was like they said they scrapped it and said, "Oh, we're going to start over."
The rights were free again, and this guy went out and picked it up, and he did whatever that thing was with Idris Elba and Matthew McConaughey, and
I didn't even put that in our topic of anywhere in our discussion because I was like,
there was no Susanna in that. I think there was a Jake. I don't know what their point was, but like they went to the tower like they would do at the end of the whole series, and it was just like, man, what are you doing?
they shot the end of it. That's what it seemed like anyway.
What I saw from that, and that's why I haven't watched it, was like what I saw from M. Night Shyamalan when he did the Avatar: The Last Airbender movie. Right. We went to go see that, like everybody else, excited in the theater to see this live action, and 10 minutes into it, I was like, I don't think he watched the show. It's like, what is he doing? It's like, this, what am I looking at? And I really beg that question of the guy that did that 2017 thing. It's like, did you read the books, or did you read any of the books, or just the Gunslinger, or did like you listen to somebody's like 12-minute YouTube video that explained what the Dark Tower was, or what?
Apparently, you have him as well. Apparently, Aaron Paul was in meetings with Ron Howard regarding playing Eddie Dean.
Okay.
And it says that
great minds think alike.
Ron Howard also mentioned, aside from Javier Bardem, Viggo Mortensen, Daniel Craig, and Hugh Jackman, all possibilities for Roland.
Yeah.
I could totally see a Hugh Jackman Roland. Like, talk about casting Marvel people. Like, this is the name that's going to get people interested. I could have seen that.
You'd have to cast the rest. My thing with Hugh Jackman is he's like Sylvester Stallone. He's not very big.
He's small. Yeah.
And like Roland was based. The whole idea of Roland is he was based off Clint Eastwood, and Clint Eastwood is a big guy. And it's not that Roland is like menacing, but he's the reason he gets through the things and fights his way out of all these things is he's more athletically and physically gifted than your average person. And Hugh Jackman is in great shape for a little guy that does like Broadway. But
he's 6'2".
Hugh Jackman?
Yeah.
I've always thought he's smaller than that.
No. Well, I was thinking while you were saying that, I was like, I thought people criticized him for being too tall for Wolverine.
Okay.
No, he's 6'2".
6'2" is workable.
He just he filmed shorter.
I've always been under the assumption, because everything he's seen in film, he doesn't ever look like he's that tall. And it's like, I want Roland to be, not like menacing. He doesn't have to be like 6'8", but he needs to be
I think part of the problem might be he bulks himself up so much. So if he gets wider, he looks squatter.
It could be. Yeah, I would have never even thought about Hugh Jackman with it, honestly. I probably could have worked him into another role there, but not. He doesn't read to me like Roland.
Right.
But you put together images off of my suggestions for my fantasy casting. My fantasy would be like, if
this would be if this was done 15 years ago or
time,
so. Yeah.
All of these people have aged out of it and are not possible anymore.
Well, even 15 years ago, this wouldn't have been possible.
Yeah. But Javier Bardem is Roland. Aaron Paul is Eddie. Naomi Harris, if you don't know that name, she is the lead girl from 28 Days Later, the very first of those movies.
Yep.
She also was kind of like Sea Witch in the Pirates of the Caribbean. I forget what it was called. and she's done some stuff since
She
then. I love her as an actress. The moment I saw her in like 28 Days Later, I was like, this girl could play like
she
Susanna Dean in Dark
she was
Tower.
in the uh, Daniel Craig Bond films.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
The casting of Jake Chambers, we were talking about this earlier. It literally could be any kid. The kid at the time that everybody they threw his name out there was Haley Joel Osment. If you did it a little bit later, I was thinking Jaden Martell from the It movie.
Yeah.
At this point, it would just if you're going to film it today, it'd be like go to England and find me a kid who's classically trained that's the right age to play Jake, because you can't like fan cast that, because anybody you think now by the time you'd ever get to production is going to be too old to play Jake. What did you looked up was Jake 11, 12?
11, yeah.
11. So I mean, you probably honestly need to target like a 9-year-old that can act when you start production of that, just to get it to where you can actually film your stuff before he becomes a 17-year-old with a beard. I had Jessica Alba as Susan Delgado, who, when you get into the Wizard of Glass, is Roland's like love interest when he's a teenager.
If this was being filmed, with Haley Joel Osment being young, I was thinking maybe Tom Holland, because Tom Holland was in that Billy Elliot film. Yeah. So I mean, he was around that age. He was active acting.
Even Anton Yelton, he played the kid in Hearts in Atlantis.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So, I mean, he was a kid.
I've said before, in my mind, that was Haley Joel Osment. Who it's not, but
Max von Sydow, I think, is who everybody would have think should be Father Callahan, and I don't want to buck the popular trend there. I think he's the perfect depiction of Father Callahan. I know him best from he's Ming the Merciless and Flash Gordon. He's been in all kinds of other stuff. I think you tried to get Russell Crowe bald when you did the picture, and it wouldn't do it. But Court, the guy who trains all the gunslingers, Russell Crowe would be amazing as that. Would have been amazing as that. He's gotten probably too old for that role now too, a little bit too chunky. And then we had the John Farson character is like sort of like a guy who's like almost like the guy who would manage like a huge ranch in like an old western. He's kind of like the wealthy rancher, but he's the bad guy, trying to field like an army into that whole story. I thought Gary Oldman would have played that role good.
I mean, if we're being honest, Gary Oldman will play any role good.
Yeah, you can make Gary Oldman probably into 6 of these spots. He just couldn't play Susanna Dean very well. But for Randall Flagg, I don't think. I think a younger Mads Mikkelsen would have been a good Randall Flagg. I'm not sure about now. Mm-hmm. I don't know that I have. You have to have an age when you get into like the Wizard and you might have to just like separately cast that to do Walter O'Dim and then the stuff from the Wizard and the Glass. If you could do that thing like they did with Obi-Wan Kenobi, where they found 2 people that like matched up on the computer where they're almost like identical matches, and find an older and a younger actor to play those 2 roles, you could. And then I said William Dafoe for the Crimson King, because again, he would be CGI at this point in any kind of movie. So you just want a really kind of creepy, cool bad guy voice, and William Dafoe would be awesome at that. Way better than Mark Hamill.
I tell you, having Mads Mikkelsen opposite Javier Bardem, I just asked if they had ever played in any film together. I think they'd play off each other great.
You could swap the 2. You could put Mads Mikkelsen into Roland and have Javier Bardem play Randall Flagg, and it would probably be just as good. Mm-hmm. It would just be kind of what you'd have to tailor them with their hair and their features on which one you wanted to be. I think either one could play either one. And I've seen names like so many people said Viggo Mortensen, probably because of Lord of the Rings, the way he looked there. What's the guy that plays Loki? Tom Hiddleston.
Yeah,
I was like, no, he's too pretty. He's a little skinny, pretty guy. No, he can't play. That's part of Roland is he's an old, scarred up cowboy.
At some point, we might do a Dragonlance, which is the D&D fan casting for me.
Yeah,
I would totally use him in Dragonlance because fantasy.
Yeah.
And like you said, he's a pretty boy, so fantasy people tend to be pretty. So
yeah, the stuff that Roland's going through by halfway through this story in his life, like, no, he's got to have scars. He's got to. The reason I picked Mikkelsen is because of Valhalla Rising. I don't know if you've seen that.
I'm like, no.
He's.
What about?
It's like watching Roland go through a Viking story. I was just like, that's a whole different movie. But
I wasn't anticipating doing this, but I'm going to do it anyway. John Malkovich. I like John Malkovich. Who would he go well? How would he go well?
Father Callahan at best.
So. Yeah,
he's the only. He could maybe voice the Crimson King.
Okay.
I don't think he's menacing enough to be Randall Flagg. He's just, I don't know. He plays some bad characters. He's one of those people that's like, yeah, you don't frighten me, dude. I'm sorry. And Randall Flagg has to like make you uncomfortable, I think. To
thinking of actors that are good at playing characters that are uncomfortable, Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, I mean he could work himself into.
And he's a more swarthy looking guy. So
the way that I actually imagine Walter, especially from the younger version, if you'll give me just 1 second, because I can never remember his name. Is it Kim Coates? Yeah, Kim Coates, the guy who plays Tig in Sons of Anarchy.
Okay.
He physically looks like.
Oh yeah. Ooh, those eyes. Yeah, I know that guy. Yeah.
But again, he's 68 years old now.
Yeah.
He's just kind of too late on that one. Ryan Hurst, he's the guy that's getting cast to be from Sons of Anarchy. He's the one that played Opie. He's the guy that's being cast to be God of War. What's his name? Kratos.
Yeah.
He's going to play Kratos in that. You could throw him into this anywhere if he would agree to shave his beard, which would be a crime against humanity to make him do it. I guess he could probably carry the beard and maybe do Roland, but Roland doesn't. He doesn't have a beard, so
I know you're not a fan of the actor, but Rufus Sewell from Dark City. He's got those weird eyes.
He could be an interesting Flag, but he doesn't seem to have enough emotional range to hit any of those. But that was my fantasy one.
Yeah. And then if you could just pick anybody, yeah.
And we're kind of going back through and looking at like, what about if we could actually do this?
Yeah, like if casting today, and we're going to go through each character. So first is Roland.
The first one I pulled up was, and some of these guys, knowing them, is, which one is he? He is
the
top one. Is Sam Claflin, which again, I don't know his name that well.
How'd you come across him?
I did some searching, like looking for actors that could play cowboys and actors that like look like Clint Eastwood, Clint Eastwood. He is out of like the Hunger Games stuff, and he was in Enola Holmes, which I did not watch.
Oh, I saw that. I don't recognize him, but
there's an image of him from Daisy Jones and the Six where he has longer hair, which kind of, you take the longer hair and like look at like the little half beard that he has, it's like, all right, you're getting there. He's 39 though, so he's gonna do it. You got to do it soon.
The other guy you have up here that has a very similar look is Miles Clohessy. Now I don't know who this guy is, but he definitely, I think he physically looks the part.
Yes, yeah. He kind of came up under the searching for Clint Eastwood lookalikes.
Yeah,
multiple westerns in his background, so he knows how to play that role. The next two are kind of like maybes.
Okay, I'll just say Zachary Levi. I love his performances. I love what he does, but no, he's too pretty.
He's he's doing a western this fall.
Oh, well,
it's coming out like in November, and I'm like, I want to see that before I would ever commit to him.
Yeah.
But I've seen him in stuff outside of the Marvel stuff. The movie where he plays Kurt Warner, he's really good in that. I think when he's gotten into some of these Angel Studios things, he's actually gotten to act.
I think he's a great actor. It's just I don't.
He did that movie Sarah's Oil that is supposed to be a time period thing about it's like early 1900s. There's like a thing going on with like oil under like Indian territory, and
there's I kind of had this issue with some of the like out of all the criticisms I could have with Zendaya at being cast as Chani, the biggest one is Zendaya is, to use a term in Dune, she's water fat. She's plump, like her face is round. She has like fat to her face and stuff. And Zachary Levi kind of has the same thing, where like he has some substance, some fat to his face. Where in my mind, Roland is kind of a gaunt dude. I mean, he's barely surviving all the time. So he's Zachary Levi looks a little bit too healthy to play Roland.
Zachary Levi is 6'3".
It's big. I didn't know that.
He's 45, so he's got that frame where he could be a big Roland size guy.
Yeah.
And whether or not he could pull off acting that role would be completely different. I've seen him play serious roles though, like where he wasn't joking all the time and stuff, and he's actually pretty good at it. So
from the interviews and stuff I've heard of him, he seems to be the kind of guy that would be up for the challenge.
Yeah.
He's
got a Western coming this
this
fall, an Angel Studios thing. I forgot what it's called. I think it's called Angel something.
Okay.
That's a tiebreaker vote for me. If he does well there, then I'll be like, yeah, cast this dude.
Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Aaron Taylor Johnson is like that other dude that has that. He can look like so many different things, and you could literally tailor him to look like Roland if you needed to.
Yeah.
I'm not sure acting wise. I wouldn't have thought acting wise he could have done it until he played in the 28 Years Later movie.
Right.
In the first one of those. And I was like that. I thought that was the best and most underutilized part of that whole like movie is like that, how he portrayed the dad in that. I thought he was great in that. It wasn't a great movie, but where he was kind of like trying to be the guy for his son. Mm-hmm. He was drinking and struggling and all that stuff.
Well, the stuff I've seen him in, obviously Kick-Ass. I saw him in Nosferatu. 28 Days Later, obviously, and I recently watched Craven.
Yeah,
and I think he could be up for the role. I think he could play darkened or like worn down enough.
Yeah,
and I think he's a good actor. I kind of put him and like Henry Cavill kind of on the same shelf where it's like, man, I want you to succeed. But I feel like you haven't found that thing that you're great at yet.
The other bonus is he's 35. If you're gonna make a movie series like Zachary Levi is on the very high end of probably how old you could start this.
Right.
He's 45. Cloesy, the Miles guy, is 32. That's probably a better target to go if you're gonna start this. The Claflin guy is 39, so he's older.
Really
the Miles Cloesy is probably the best choice of at least what I've got out there, because he's the right size, he's the right look, he's the right age to actually get more than one movie out of him.
If you're going to be doing the Dark Tower as like the whole thing and a property, the people obviously are going to compare it to like the MCU kind of thing, and the Roland of the Dark Tower is like the Tony Stark, and so you need someone that can hold that.
If Roland doesn't work, the story doesn't work.
So I think out of your choices, I haven't seen the other two guys act, but I definitely think Aaron Taylor Johnson
and stuff. I don't know their work that well to be like, oh yeah, I love this guy in that. But those choices are not as good as what they could have done if they would have done this back when they had a chance to do it.
Yeah.
But
no, there's a lot of stuff that they've just waited too long for.
If you really wanted to have done this right back in the time frame, it would have been to get Clint Eastwood when he was like in his like 50s to be old Roland and have his son Scott be young Roland.
Yeah,
because then you would have been like, hey, he looks just like him. It's like, I know it's because it's his son and he looks like him. But they blew the chance on that. The next casting going down that role, do you have Eddie?
Yep. No, Eddie. I went too far.
Eddie, let me pull my window up here. I know Jack O'Connell was the first one I think I had.
I only know two of these guys.
He's the guy from the Bone Temple. He's the Jimmy character
from the opening.
He's also like the weird folk singer that shows up for some reason in the middle of Sinners, so we can talk about how dumb white people are. Because that was a fun part of that movie. But he's got a great range, and again, Eddie Dean. If I was thinking really back to Aaron Paul was the first one I thought of. I
Yeah.
always kind of thought of Eddie Dean a little bit being a little bit like a younger Kevin Bacon too.
Okay.
Just in his like mannerisms and stuff that I remember from reading about him. The O'Connell guy has got some range. He's he's pretty good in the 28 Days Later stuff. Again, he's 35, so he's kind of in that window, about the right age and stuff to be. I've seen him as a blonde, and he's got dark hair, and he's got a beard, and all these different pictures of him. So you could kind of adjust him to whatever you wanted him to look like too.
How old is Eddie in the book?
I don't know. I want to say like he's probably in his mid-30s.
Oh, okay. I always imagined him as like early 20s.
He might have, because I mean he was all into like the party scene and like into doing drugs. He might have been like later 20s, maybe early 30s, something like that. But
it says he's introduced in the Drawing of Three as 23.
Wow, that's way younger than I was thinking.
Yep. With mid-world time inconsistencies suggests he may be 25 to 26.
Yeah.
He is youthful and boyish.
Yeah, you might have to go a little younger than Jack O'Connell on that one.
Yeah.
Again, if he's 35 now and you start working on it now, he'll be 38 by the time you're done.
Yeah, so. You have to give it. I mean, if you're gonna try to make the Dark Tower as a series, especially if it's like a TV series, you're gonna have to think a decade is what you're looking at.
I picked Barry Kogan. I don't know how you say that. The main thing I kind of knew him from was Killing of a Sacred Deer. There's other stuff that he's been in. I didn't see Saltburn. He's in Peaky Blinders. It's one of those series I always kind of thought about watching. Again, he's 33. And apparently he has some kind of weird stuff going on where people think he's doing some kind of surgery stuff to his face. So he might not be. He was a name that I always had from whatever. I think it was that Killing of a Sacred Deer. When I saw that, I was thinking, man, he'd be an interesting Eddie Dean. That's been years ago. That was a 2017 movie. So I've always got this in the back of my head when I'm watching other stuff. I'll see an actor and be like, oh man, he could play in the Dark Tower. Yeah. I've got him pulled up from the cast of the Batman because he was like an unseen Arkham.
Yeah, Joker.
Was he the Joker? Okay. That was just, never saw him, but he was.
Yeah, he was like all obscured. It was
You could probably work Robert Pattinson into this thing somewhere as somebody, but just whether or not you want to.
If they wait long enough, he'll be old enough to be Man in Black.
Down bottom side there, Luke Grimes.
What's he from?
He's from Yellowstone.
Oh, I've never seen it. So
we were watching that early and kind of got into it and got out of it just because we got out of having cable. But again, he's 42, but he also does the Western thing. I don't know. He's 6 foot. I don't know that he's really the stature of guy. He always seemed to me like he was kind of more of a wiry kind of dude. He could play a Roland, but my memory of him is from the old Yellowstone stuff where he does play a younger character in that series. And again, that's what kills me with the Dark Tower is you wait and you wait and you wait, and everybody that you think like just keeps aging out of the.
Recently it was announced that Firefly was going to have something, like they're doing something else with Firefly, and I kind of had the whole perspective of I loved Firefly. 15 years ago was when if you were going to do something else with it, it should have been 15 years ago. You've waited too long. It's past time. Let it go.
The last one I had was Austin Butler, the guy that played Elvis in the Tom Hanks movie.
I love that casting. I think that'd be great.
He's 34, but he looks.
Yeah, he plays young.
He's one of those little pretty guys. Yeah. He could play the younger, mid-20s something.
If this were years ago, as you were talking about Eddie, in my mind, I saw Ryan Gosling, like a young Ryan Gosling.
You could probably just adjust your script to just make Eddie a little bit older if you found the right guy for him.
Right. And also, like you were saying, a lot of actors now, you get them in their early 30s and they play in their mid 20s. So
yeah.
I mean, like look at Tom Holland. I mean, he's in his 30s now, and
they're showing him like in the Odyssey. He almost looks like a teenager.
Yeah.
Or no, is that Tom Holland? That's not Tom Holland.
He's in the Odyssey, isn't he?
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, he's 29, but like he's still playing a college student in Spider-Man. So yeah. All right.
Where is my other tab?
Next,
come on to Odetta.
Next is Odetta or Susanna, both.
I gotta find my tab here. If you'll hang on one second, I had it pulled up.
All right. Well, the first you have Jamie Lawson and Zazie Beetz. Now,
Jamie was the first one that I imagined for her. Zazie Beetz is because if you gave me the opportunity to cast Zazie Beetz in anything, I'd be like, yes.
Well, you need to watch They Will Kill You, because you will 100% be like, she'd be a great Odetta.
Yeah.
Just she can play just like visceral really well.
She's 30. She's 34. You kind of have that. I don't.
Yeah. How old is Odetta?
I don't know that either.
I'll Google that.
Look that up.
Yep.
I would almost think that maybe the little bit older casting might be better for Odetta because she's. I don't know if she's supposed to be that old or not, but you get that feeling that she's.
Well,
she's not a kid anymore.
From what I remember, the Susanna seemed younger than Odetta.
Yeah.
Like Odetta.
Oh yeah, no. Odetta's like a 45-year-old like Waffle House waitress with cigarettes and.
Yeah.
And
now it says
kids.
Susanna's approximately 30 years old in the film.
Yeah. So you could go either way. You could cast younger, you could cast higher.
Yeah.
Zazie Beetz would be amazing. I picked Jamie Lawson because she did the sort of playing the older Southern thing in Sinners. When the first half of Sinners, when it was still a movie before it turned into just a hate film. I'm never gonna let that go. But,
no, apparently not.
she did a really good job in the time period part of that before it became a vampire movie where it was actually a decent film. And when you talk about like Odetta sort of being like a kind of foul-mouthed, older, like Southern, deep South woman that their family became rich and they became refined and stuff and all that, but at the core of that whole family is still that sort of a poorer Southern person.
Mm-hmm.
She has that look more.
Okay.
I mean, she's a beautiful girl, but she's a little bit more traditional, darker skinned, a little bit more traditional Southern features, especially when you don't see her made up, and she was made out to be a little bit more plain in Sinners. She just kind of looked like, man, she'd be a really good Odetta, and I don't think you'd want to. Yeah, you couldn't cast two different people, but it'd be curious to kind of do the way they did like Gollum, or like he'd be like friendly. Mm-hmm. Talking to himself in the pond, and it's like he looks this way and he's got the right voice, and then he flips over, and I don't remember how many moments. I think it's like when Odetta originally takes over, like she takes over, you almost have to like kind of drive her out. But I think it kind of gets to where she can kind of control when Odetta comes more.
What would you say the split between Odetta and Susanna, like series wide, like percentage wise? Is like it mostly Odetta or mostly Susanna?
Most of the time, like when they're traveling and getting in between stuff like that, it's mostly Susanna. It's like Odetta is almost like I'm talking about. If you want to talk like Bruce Banner,
you were saying
when Bruce Banner has to turn into the Hulk.
That's actually a really good analogy.
That's kind of like she is the Hulk in that, and there's some stuff that I don't know that you'd want an actress to have to do it. There's a scene where she takes on the Crimson King by letting him just kind of ravage her. And that's one of those things where you're like, yeah, Stephen King is messed up because it's brutal. And she turns into Odetta to be able to do it.
Right.
And that whole thing is just reading. It's like reading.
Come on, Stephen. Come on.
Hurry up. 20 pages of just foul language because she's cussing and spitting and tearing at him, and he's doing things to her, and it's like, but that's almost like how Odetta has to come into the story.
Right.
And like when they get to like the Wolves of Kala and the robots and stuff come, it's like they switch her on, and it's like, just get out of the way and just let her go. It's like, just
I almost wonder if
isn't that like in Avengers, they're like, he turns him as Hulk, smash.
Yeah,
that's like what they do with Odetta at times. And
I almost wonder if casting a set of twins would be a good way to go, because like with twins, they're similar enough to where they look, it's identical twins I'm talking about, where they look like the same person, but usually they're off just enough to where you can tell that it's not the same person. So that
just
might
having those
help.
scenes where you could actually be there and she could be like arguing with herself and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
That would be cool. That's what they tried to do with what's his name in Sinners,
Mm-hmm.
where they had him playing the two brothers and they were just putting a gold tooth on him in one. I forget how they made a difference, but
Smoke and stack.
But yeah, Zazie Beetz would be you would not upset me if you cast that. That's
like I was saying before, I think she would definitely be up. She would be up for the role. I think.
Yeah,
I'd
be up to watch that. So,
I like your. I have no idea who this is. I just got a picture of a young English actor.
For what I sent to Randy when we were doing this for Jake, I said pick a kid from England.
Pick a kid from England. Okay.
Because at this point, if you're going to cast somebody, you have to cast it when you're ready to do it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're gonna age out of it. And there's all these, like the kids that came into The Walking Dead and series like that. There's all these people you've never heard of. They're kids that come out of like all this like fancy formal training in England and stuff. And
shoot,
like,
just look at the Stranger Things gang. I mean, they all look so old now, and they're supposed to be like just a couple years older, but no, they're 10 years older now. They're in their mid-20s.
30 years old, still trying to like ride their Huffy, and they're like,
yeah,
okay. So I don't have a target for Jake. Just whoever. Give me a kid.
We're gonna go right into Court.
Court. I was saying Tom Hardy because Court almost another good casting, an old casting would have been like Michael Chiklis, the guy from The Shield.
Yeah.
The guy that played the Thing. Because Court was like this old, like grizzled, bald guy. He's all scarred up from training people and taking damage when he was training young gunslingers to fight. But you want it to be a big, bulky, kind of brute. And Tom Hardy's a great one. Russell Crowe's a better one. Yeah. But Russell Crowe's old now, so Tom Hardy's kind of like...
Well, he's getting there. But he's not too old.
He's not quite a Temu Russell Crowe, but he's a Russell Crowe Jr. And I think that would be a simple casting. If you didn't want him, just go to the MMA ranks and just find a dude from the heavyweight division and just cast him.
And we have
doesn't have to say a whole lot.
Next, we have Susan Delgado. Who is this?
That is the Roland when he's a teenager. That's his love interest.
Oh, okay.
And your first thought is like Sydney Sweeney, but she's too old, honestly.
Okay.
I always kind of forget that it is a teen. I went back to Sadie Sutherland, the girl that plays the teenage girl in Arcadian, the Nicolas Cage movie we talked about a few episodes ago.
Okay.
A little bit darker hair and stuff than Susan Delgado is a blonde, but if half the time you pull up an actress, you see 8 pictures of her, and it's like, I don't know what color her hair is supposed to be. So
I was thinking, literally the only thing I've ever seen her in is It, the girl who plays the girl in It.
Yeah.
What's her name?
That's the red-haired girl. Right?
Yeah. But I don't know if she's actually red hair.
I think she actually is.
Okay.
She could be okay in it too. I didn't want to go into like an online search. It's like, will you show me some young blonde-haired actresses?
Yeah. Well, to see this, Sophia Lillis, to get her name, I googled characters in It.
Find me an actress that is a late teenage, early 20s version of Sydney Sweeney with that kind of look. That's what she's supposed to look like. Okay. She's strikingly beautiful blonde girl that is sold into like to be a concubine in that world, and falls in love with Roland, and the story kind of goes from there. That's a character that I don't think you mess with, and it's probably one of the first ones they'll mess with. They'll probably cast who knows. I won't get into what I think they'll do on that, but that's a very specific one. And that's one kind of like Helen of Troy in the Odyssey that has a lot of description of what she's supposed to look like.
Yeah.
And we're not going to be there apparently.
Yeah. Well, they don't pay attention to that all the time. So.
Yeah, there's absolutely no reason to not pay attention to it. That's why it was written down in the first place.
And the next one is an actor in which, man, I think just cast him in whatever you want, because Cillian Murphy would kill any role you put him in. So
whenever I think about him, he's older now than I'm traditionally thinking.
I mean,
he could come into the Man in Black role.
Yeah, I see him as a Man in Black.
He could be the Crimson King. He would be a good Father Callahan at this point because he is older.
Yeah.
You kind of want your Father Callahan to have a little bit of an accent,
right?
And
well, I mean, Father Callahan. He sounds
so
Scottish or whatever.
he's got the Irish Scottish thing
Yeah.
going on. So
That sounds like a pretty easy casting there.
John Farson, the big sort of like ranch magnate or whatever you want to call him from the thing.
Mm-hmm.
I first thought was the guy from Father Paul from Midnight Mass. That's
Yeah.
Hamish Linklater.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he's not exactly what I imagined, but he would definitely be able to play that role. I think the other one I kind of threw in there was Anthony Starr.
Anthony Starr, which I didn't get a picture of, but he plays Homelander.
He, if you took him out of the superhero mindset,
Yeah.
little facial hair on him, get rid of the dyed blonde hair, he would probably actually be better than Hamish. Um, I think you want Hamish to maybe be a little bit more menacing, a little bit more intimidating, and he's kind of not. Um, or you want Farson to be. I don't think Hamish quite gets there, but he's one of the reasons I was thinking Hamish is that we'll talk about this in a second. Is that Michael Flanagan is the guy that's most likely going to produce this, and he has a group of people that he likes to work with, which includes him.
Yeah.
So I think you're going to see him. He could be a Father Callahan, as far as that goes. But I would bet money that if Callahan gets this started, that you'll see Hamish Linklater in it. Mm-hmm. I just don't know where. Then my next stuff was Randall Flagg.
Yeah. Now I definitely think I actually like both of your ideas here.
Yeah.
But both of them have buts. Peter Stormare, great, but he's Satan in.
I will say this
in not John Wick, in Constantine.
If we want to go through and like actually lay this out in another show, the best portrayals of Satan in film, hands down, is him. In Constantine,
and he is returning in the sequel. So
yeah, so,
I feel like that's one of those things where it's like, well, he's played Satan in that, so don't.
He'd still be really good.
Yeah,
because you want Randall Flagg to be iconic,
right?
The other one that I was just thinking more about how Randall Flagg looks, and I looked at all these people with long hair, and it's like so many people, like Colin Farrell does long hair sometimes, and he could probably do it. He's a good enough actor that he could actually play it. But I was like, man, Russell Brand just kind of looks like what I think Randall Flagg looks like.
Yeah.
And the thing that people underestimate with like comedic actors is they have way more range than the silly crap that you usually hear them putting forth.
And that's what I think with Russell Brand is I think he could nail it.
If you want to see what I'm talking about, go back and watch like any of the dramatic roles from either Jim Carrey or Robin Williams.
Mm-hmm. I was explicitly thinking Robin Williams.
You go back and watch him being Mrs. Doubtfire and voicing Aladdin and all this kind of stuff, and you're waiting for him to just kind of like crack a joke, but you see him play like a serial killer in like one of his movies, and you're like, where did that come from?
We might do this off camera because timing and everything, but it would be funny to get like the worst casting, like the best worst casting for all these characters, because I just Googled actors with long hair, and of course Keanu Reeves came up. So like that's a best worst casting kind of thing. It's like no, but I could see a Hollywood executive saying yes.
I could work Keanu Reeves into this somewhere, but probably not as Randall Flagg.
Right. I could see him do it.
You got to be able to deliver more than like one line and sound cool.
Right.
But yeah, those are my two for Flagg. Okay. And then the Crimson King, like I said, I think at that you're really just kind of looking for a voice more than you are.
Right.
I like the idea of Joaquin Phoenix if you actually melded the two and had an actual actor that you blended with CGI as it turns into a giant. Have you seen much Crimson King stuff?
No.
Crimson King kind of becomes like a big Black Widow person.
Oh.
Joaquin Phoenix would do that very well. Bill Skarsgård would do it well too. He's the guy that played Pennywise in It.
Yep.
But I think at that point you want a voice that's going to sound kind of crazy and insane and powerful. I think Joaquin Phoenix, Bill Skarsgård, either one could do it. If you blended the characters, I was trying to go back and picture like what it looked like in the comic. And I remember some of the imagery of it, but it's been a while since I've looked at it. It was kind of crazy, and he really is. When you get into the low people and the people that are trying to break the beams and make the whole world collapse, there are all these things that are mixed with like animals. The I think it's still the most I've ever freaked anybody out. Because I went with the kids to the downtown Fincastle to walk around at Halloween one time as one of the low people that had like a crow's head. I found like this crow's head mask and I just wore it with like a black suit. And I had kids that were like walking around like, yeah, happy Halloween. I got candy. And they'd look up and see me coming. And like, you watch them like go over to the sidewalk and they'd be like hiding behind the car. And I was like, well, I didn't realize I was going to traumatize every child here. But that mix of like kind of varmint animals, rats and crows and snakes and spiders and stuff is kind of like that mix of all the low people. And I could do some cool things if I had some creative people that could actually put things on the paper. I was like, man, draw this and make it look like this.
Right.
With Bill Skarsgård or Joaquin Phoenix, either one. Joaquin Phoenix could probably get into being Randall Flagg if you could ever get him to come out of the role when it's done. Because I always hear that about him. Is like he gets into roles and like commits to them, and like I'm not sure he's the most stable person on the planet, and I'm not sure at this point we want him playing the devil on Earth.
Right. Well, that's the last character of your current fan casting. I think there are a lot of great options. I just hope if they actually do.
It's out of Netflix hands. We'll get to that here in a second.
Yeah.
But Michael Flanagan has a group of people that he does like to work with, so I would look for multiple of those people to arrive. Right. And it's not going to be very many of these people. It would be nice if he actually went out and sought some of this level of actors for some of those spots. But he also might have that kind of inside lane to where he can find some people that we don't know and surprise us with some castings of stuff. But I just hope he'll. Well,
he is apparently he is officially adapting it. Like it's a go.
Yeah, right. Flanagan has definitely like got this in development, and we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit about that in one more section.
Okay. All right, so it's looking like director Mike Flanagan of like Midnight Mass.
Yeah.
He is like officially adapting The Dark Tower as like a television series.
Yeah. The things that I've found out that I didn't know about this, I've always assumed he was tied to Netflix with doing The Haunting of Hill House, or is that what it was called?
Yeah.
And then the Midnight Mass, he did one other before that. There was another like haunting show. I forget what that was called. He finally did The Fall of the House of Usher. I think that was the last thing he did with Netflix. Is that he's done with Netflix now. I guess he was maybe under contract with them. And that expired. I don't think it was like a departure, like we hate you, I quit kind of thing. I think it was just your contract's done. He has signed a deal with Amazon MGM Studios.
Okay. Yeah.
He signed that in 2023. In the late part of that's actually when his Netflix thing expired in 2023.
Okay.
Later that year, he signed the deal with Amazon because he started working on a series adaptation of Carrie.
Carrie. Yep.
Yeah.
And that's coming out. That's 4 episodes apparently. I don't know how long I'm assuming it's just going to be the 4-episode miniseries. It's coming out this year.
There's a TV series a while back where they tried to they cast that kind of creepy, kind of skinny, red-haired girl. I can't remember what her name was into it, and they tried to make it continue past where everything happens in the town. Like basically Carrie goes on the run, and nobody picked it up, so there was never anything that was produced after it. But they tried to set it up to make it an ongoing thing like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what his intentions are with the series, if he's just trying to get a more developed telling of the old Stephen King book.
Are you talking about Chloe Grace Moretz? That you're talking about?
No. It was Angela Bettis, I think is her name.
Angela Bettis. That was in 2002.
Yeah, that thing ends with like her not getting pulled down into the grave or any of that stuff. Like it's she just goes on the run.
Okay.
And I think they were hoping somebody would pick that up and make that into a series.
Okay.
I don't know if they did that through the Sci-Fi Channel or what. It's been a long time since I've seen that, but I watched it because it was Carrie, and I was like, "Oh, it's cool." But it basically was just kind of like the Chloe Grace Moretz retelling of it. It wasn't as good as the first, and I'm not sure I understand the whole thing behind doing Carrie.
They keep doing it.
It's been done multiple times.
They're also
you're not going to beat the Sissy Spacek version of it.
Right.
She's Carrie. You're not going to ever change that. But
Yeah.
but if that's kind of what gets him into the door working with Amazon, then that's fine.
And apparently he's currently filming The Exorcist. I guess.
Yeah.
I kind of feel about The Exorcist that you were saying, Carrie. I'm like, it's been done. I mean,
I'm gonna get a T-shirt from Justine Bateman if she sells them. The make new films thing that she's always posting on that. That's half of her social media posts are just coming in under an announcement of somebody's remaking something, and she just says hashtag make new films. And I'm like, I don't need to see The Exorcist again.
I mean, didn't they just remake The Exorcist? Yeah, The Exorcist Believer is a legacy sequel that brings back characters from the original film to deal with a new possession case. All right, so at least that one was kind of a sequel.
I guess if the studios are asking for this kind of stuff and like just throwing money out there, I guess you can't really blame Flanagan for being like, sure, I'll take your money.
There was 2 seasons of a TV show that I thought was pretty good, which did serve as a sequel to the films. So. Yeah.
They said that this multi-year overall deal with Amazon, it says television deal, I guess because of Prime. I hope it will be maybe involving some theater releases of them too, even if it's just a couple week release. Because there's some things I like to go see on the big screen, and if he does anything with the Dark Tower, if they put it in the theater, I'm going to go see it.
Yeah, I really like that. I really like that idea for. At least like the opening of series is put like the first episode in the theater.
But they said that the deal that he signed with them in 2023 has been further solidified in March of this year, 2026. And I think that comes into where he has written a piloted script for the Gunslinger.
Okay.
I saw that somewhere else. This was an article about why he left Netflix. I don't think that was...
Just from the little bit I read about it, it seems like... Because Denis Villeneuve was a fan of Dune from years ago, from like when he was a teen.
Yeah.
So it kind of seems like this is Mike Flanagan's like Dune. Like this is like his dream project, what he really wanted to get done. So yeah, hopefully he's a little more faithful to the Gunslinger than Villeneuve has been with Dune.
I don't. If you look at Amazon's involvement in things too,
yeah, it being Amazon.
I don't.
There's going to be some shenanigans.
I don't think it's as bad as Netflix. Netflix is like,
I don't know, man.
Netflix is pretty bad at like pushing you the message. Amazon has done. They do some really good stuff. They do like the books. Goodness gracious, let me look this up.
Well, whatever you're going to say that they did well, I'm going to counter with but Rings of Power.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, they've pretty much.
What is the guy's name that does the
pretty much reimagined Lord of the Rings with Rings of Power?
Guy. They're based off of the books from somebody. Where is that?
Is that Jack Carr?
Jack Carr, yes. They've let them do that. They just let them just run with that.
Right.
And if you think about the people in all these Hollywood studios, that like we can't say, we don't want to like portray terrorists as bad people, and we don't want to do this.
My assumption, it's more about money. I can't imagine they're putting a lot of money into Jack Carr, but they put a lot of money in Rings of Power, and they're gonna put a lot of money in Dark Tower. So the more money that gets put in, the more producers want a say. So
what they've done, I've not watched a second of any of that Dark Lord of the Rings stuff that they did on there.
No.
And it's just
nope.
Trying to make me empathize with the trolls, whatever they're called.
Sure.
Introducing like all these different races into what's supposed to be old England, and I'm like, I I'm not saying
There's
you
a
can't like mix any kind of like race into like the Dark Tower stuff, but like don't change the major characters. When you get into like if you're trying to make this series, the Dark Tower, I said it before, there's a whole just slew of castings that are there, and most of those, there's a lot of those. It doesn't matter what color, what race, what person you put into some of those roles. Just somebody that will like, play the role right and do what that character does. There's a lot of kind of characters that would probably only be there for an episode or two. If representation is a thing that has to be done so you can get anything done, you can do so much of it through that. But you don't mess that list of people that I cast. You don't change any of that. You don't. If you start messing with that, then don't make it. I mean, it's just
if they might do like what they did with Harry Potter, is they race swaps Snape, which is like the one character out of all of them that it's a bad idea to race swap Snape. Like race swap, put the Man in Black, race swap him. Like no, what? No, you're making it worse. You're making it worse.
Yeah, there's no
But
need.
you're talking about the orcs and the Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, how they're trying to make them sympathetic. There's on Netflix. There's a Devil May Cry animated series, and in that they have demons who are just trying to like live their lives with their little demon babies, and it's just makes them look like an immigrant kind of situation. Yeah, they're gonna put their message in it somewhere.
Yeah.
But I think the way to approach this, no matter what Mike Flanagan does. Now we know he's a competent filmmaker and he has passion for it. Who's the guy who made The Mist?
Frank Darabont.
Yeah, Frank Darabont. He's not Frank Darabont, but
yeah.
He seems well capable of making this kind of.
You don't see
property.
Frank Darabont working like on stuff anymore,
right?
Probably because he can't work with these people that want to change everything.
I might be it.
But I was thinking, God, if you got Mike Flanagan to do this, and you brought like Frank Darabont in as like the sort of script consultant on this.
Oh yeah, do Frank Darabont as the script doctor. But what I think you need to do is kind of view this as I viewed the Dune movies. Is the Dune movies are Denis Villeneuve's Dune. Mm-hmm. They're not Dune, it's Denis Villeneuve's Dune. So this is going to be Mike Flanagan's The Dark Tower, not The Dark Tower. And that you go in there with that perspective, and you'll be able to enjoy it a little better.
I have not watched the Idris Elba Dark Tower because I refuse to.
I tried. I fell asleep.
If they go in and start changing major characters in this to just do something, we're changing it because we want to be diverse. I'm like, I'm not going to watch it. I've drawn that line in the sand on stuff. We got rid of Netflix. We got rid of Hulu. I'm not watching anything that Disney does. If he has to come with the same crap, I'm glad to be like, sorry, I'm not watching. I'll go back and read the books again.
I think I've said this before. Like I used to have that line, but that line kind of got messed up because I saw some actors and actresses put in roles that I'm like, damn, that was good. Zazie Beetz as Domino is the one I always say. I was like, I when she was announced, I kind of grimaced a little bit. I was like, I don't really see it. Of course, I hadn't seen her in anything. That was her as Domino is the first time I ever saw her as anything.
Yeah.
And after I watched the Deadpool 2, I was like, that was great.
Yeah. I love her as an actress. You throw somebody like that into like the role of Susan Delgado, then you've changed the entire story. And you didn't have to. There's other characters that she could play. There's probably what could be one of the most iconic like black female lead characters that you could do in our lifetime if you cast Susan Dean as Odetta Holmes and found a director and an actress that was willing to actually portray it the way it should be portrayed. Yeah. Because really the dynamic between her being so foul-mouthed and all this stuff.
I mean, that's part of the point, right?
And Roland is that it's like the ultimate like racial harmony story. Mm-hmm. That he's an old cowboy that doesn't put up with stuff like that, and she calls him honky MFer most of the time.
Right.
And I'm sure they'll probably throw that in there, but they won't. If there's any use of like the N-word, it's her using it about herself all the time.
Right.
It's not, he's never like that.
I could still see them saying
the whole point is that you show
don't
these like
include it.
two super like desperate ends of the spectrum that come together and become a team, and they and there really becomes like a love thing. It's like you're my wingman,
Yeah,
kind of thing.
just the imagery. Like I haven't read the novel, but just the imagery of her like strapped on him like a backpack and them both shooting guns. It's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's if you sat Roland down and asked him, was like, "Do you love Susanna and Odetta?" He'd be like, "Yes, I'd die for them." But it's not like it's not a romantic thing.
Right.
It's a soldier.
See,
I'd die for my fellow soldier kind of thing, or my partner in police work.
If anything, I hope they really keep that dynamic, because that's having that camaraderie love is something that like they don't really like to show that in Hollywood anymore. If there's love, it's like Eros love.
It's the best love. It's the best part of the whole series is the dynamic between those two. And if you screw that up, then you've screwed the whole thing up.
No, you missed the heart.
And there wasn't even a Susanna even cast in that stupid thing that happened.
Right. And I noticed that when I was looking at the cast earlier.
I was like, how can you, if you just made the Gunslinger movie, that's fine. She's not in that.
Right.
But they tried to incorporate all this other stuff from the later stories, but like, that's not. And I think there was actually like a point where that Russian guy, Nikolai, whatever his name was, that made it, was going to cast, since he cast Idris Elba, he's like, well, I could cast Susanna, but we'll have to find a white person.
Right.
I'm like, why? It's like, cast Roland correctly, then you could hire a black lady to do Susanna, and then you'd still have the same number of people in your little equation to make people happy, and it actually be the right people. But
a lot of creators want to make their mark, So, but
it
is what it is.
100% fine to just start cutting out stuff that if you make it your own little thing and it's not true to the material that I want to see, I'm not going to see it. And
that's one of the benefits of trailers. You watch the trailer and you're like, eh.
I've been waiting my life for the Gunslinger, the Dark Tower stuff to come around, and if this is probably the last chance in my lifetime that this will probably circle around to somebody trying to produce it again. If they get it, fine. If they screw the whole thing up, then I got plenty of time to read the books again.
There you go.
They're good books.
All right. Well, if we were gonna continue for another hour, I would love to go through like all the actors and actresses that Flanagan has worked with and use like the people he's worked with as the pool to say, okay, who we're going to cast. Yeah. I think that'd be fun. But if we ever do that, that's for another day or off camera.
The most repeating one, and I don't have the people in front of me, the one that he seems to use the most is the guy that plays the sheriff in Midnight Mass.
Raul Coley.
Is that the actor or their character's name?
He played Sheriff Hassan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
he uses him a lot.
Yeah.
And might be because they're really good friends.
Is the man in black like is his race ever said?
Yeah, no, you see Randall Flagg like another, like he's in the stand. He if you want like a very physical description of Randall Flagg, look up Steve Vai.
Okay.
He's the guitarist.
So the answer is yes.
The guy that played guitar for David Lee Roth after Van Halen split up, that is what Randall Flagg looks like.
Okay.
He's been in like a couple of movies, but he's a guitar player. He's not a good enough actor, and he's too old now to play that kind of thing. But you got to find like a picture of him when he still has hair, because he's got short hair now.
Yeah, I don't know the characters well enough to say if there's a particular character that Raul would fit well in.
This is what Randall Flagg looks like.
Sure. And just an 80s hairband guy.
Just an 80s long black hair, chiseled bony face, just kind of. But no.
Okay.
That's honestly where I look for them to veer off first. I'll probably cast somebody else for that, because I would hope he's at least learned from the disaster with Idris Elba that you can't change Roland.
Yeah.
And if there's no reason to change Susanna, so he'll probably land those two, and I wouldn't be surprised to see everybody else be something different.
Has he ever adapted someone else's work? Because everything, the Fall of Usher, right? Fall of the House of Usher.
Yeah. Outside of that, I mean, he did he did other Stephen King stuff. He did the Gerald's Game, and he did the what was the more recent Red Rum thing? What was that called?
Oh, was he Dr. Sleep?
Yeah, he did Dr. Sleep.
Okay.
So,
but, I mean, so he seems like it seems like he tries to be pretty, even though as much as I like Ewan McGregor, I think he was great as Obi-Wan. I don't know if he was great as Danny. But hey.
It's not the most memorable movies that I've seen, but I seem to remember enjoying watching that.
Yeah.
I guess it's kind of what's in my head anyway.
The whole soul vampire Rebecca Ferguson carried that film.
Oh yeah. So yeah, she was amazing in that.
But we'll see how The Dark Tower comes through, and we'll see if we can be able to compare it to your fan casting.
I'll watch it or I won't. Yep. I don't say those things just to say them. If they come out and they throw the Odyssey kind of garbage at it, then I'm like, sorry. I love interpretations of the Odyssey, and seeing that coming, I'm like, no, I'm not paying for that. I'm not going to waste however long that's going to be. It's probably a 3-hour movie on top of everything else. I'm not going to spend 3 hours of my life watching you have some little fantasy about changing a classic into your own little thing. And
Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey.
Yeah, and same thing with this. If they want to do it true to the story, then I'll watch it. And if they want to make it their own little project in diversity training, then I'm like, okay, you guys have fun with that.
We'll find out.
I'll read the books if I feel like it. I'm probably more likely to go back and go through the comics than the books.
Yeah,
just with my time constraints. But yeah,
anything else?
We will see what happens. With the Carrie thing coming, I think what I've heard is like Carrie is probably targeted to come out this summer.
Okay.
And he says that I've seen it reported that he said that the Dark Tower is a priority.
Carrie is November 3rd. No, that's 1976. Come on.
I think with him saying that, I think it probably means he's probably got some agreement done with Amazon on it. And if Carrie is already produced and they're just finishing it to get it released to come out this summer, I would say that they're probably going to, if he hasn't already started doing initial work on the Dark Tower, or at least the Gunslinger, because I have heard him say that's where he will start, is with the Gunslinger book.
Okay. October 26th.
I wouldn't be surprised to look for whatever he does to be in that same time frame of next year.
Okay.
So probably end of the summer, maybe fall of next year. Because if he does go after the Dark Tower, just that to start with, that's not hard to produce. It's a handful of characters. You don't have to get into a lot of casting because there's not that many people involved in the original Gunslinger story.
Right.
It really blows.
I mean, it's like 4 or 5 people.
It explodes into all kinds of stuff when you get into the subsequent books.
Yeah.
But if I'm taking a gamble on something to see how he does and see what the reaction is to it, the Gunslinger is the safe way to start.
I definitely think that. I mean, the Gunslinger is safe to start, but the 2017 film shows that you have to nail both Roland and the Man in Black. You've got to nail those castings, because it's not only I don't even think it's not just important to have an actor that plays a good Man in Black, or one that plays a good Roland. You have to have actors that play that dynamic together well. So sometimes there's no chemistry. You got to have that chemistry.
Like, in what world would Idris Elba and Matthew McConaughey have
that chemistry?
That would even make like a good buddy cop movie.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be like maybe a student teacher. I can't even think of a scenario where I'd put those two people into the same movie.
We were joking about doing a casting of these are the worst best castings that I could see them actually do. And I was saying Keanu Reeves, I could see them putting Keanu Reeves in something here, but also I could see them putting Jared Leto in somewhere. So Matthew McConaughey is definitely on that list of they casted him, but man, that was just it makes no sense. It makes no sense why he was there.
Bringing back current day Haley Joel Osment to play Jake.
Right. He's our age.
What is he, 45, 50 now?
Something like that. goodness.
Gee, Roland, where are we going today?
they just digitally shrink them.
No, I wouldn't do it at all. Just throw him out there with a beard and
the
long
beard
hair.
and everything. All right. Well, that'll do it for.
That would make the scene where like Jake's getting ready to fall into the abyss, where Roland's trying to catch him a little different.
A little bit.
I'd be like Roland, and be like, "Come on, man."
But let's wrap up our first pocket episode there, and that's our fan casting, Joel's fan casting for the Dark Tower.
Yeah, you got to do some work and do some reading.
Yeah, I certainly do. Maybe we'll revisit this after probably the Dark Tower series comes out from Mike Flanagan. By the time I actually read the Dark Tower, it'll probably be over. So
I would say if you would get through the second book
yeah.
and get into the third by then, I think you'll be like, you'd be like, go away, guys, I got to read.
Yeah, if I get into it, I think I want to actually restart with the Dark Tower. I mean, I remember it well enough, but you could always use a refresher.
Yeah, the Gunslinger is an easy one to go back through. It's a couple hundred pages, so you could do that in a day or two and kind of refresh yourself.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll come back for the closing.
Okay.
All right. Well, that's it for our pocket episode, and thanks for bringing all that information, Joel. That was great.
Yeah. Going back through all that is going back through something I read 15, almost probably pushing 20 years ago now.
Yeah.
I always say I want to go back through and do it again. Haven't had time to do that, but
right.
But yeah, it's if you're remotely interested in Stephen King stuff, if you've never read anything of his, pick up something small like The Dead Zone or something like that and read that, and then try these and read The Gunslinger. You may or may not get pulled in by The Gunslinger. It's I put it as like it's a moderately entertaining book. It's good.
Just from me reading the second book and a little bit of the third, The Gunslinger is a good prologue to the series. It's not really like, it doesn't prepare you for the rest of the series.
Yeah, no,
it just introduces you to the characters, and it introduces you to their dynamic and the relationship they have.
There's a little bit of fantasy in it where there's characters they encounter in a cave thing that are, I think didn't he say they're kind of like based off of the Morlocks from one of the
that sounds about right.
One of the older
the time machine
things. But I mean, that's kind of it.
Yeah.
The rest of it's sort of like just barren wasteland, sort of, you don't know when this takes place, but it's kind of like a Western. When you get into the very first pages of the second book, you're like, what's happening here? You get into fantasy right away, and it gets into crazy all over the place horror and fantasy and time travel and interdimensional stuff. And
I definitely think it's a series that's good for people who are fans of Stephen King, but also someone who's read a handful of his books. I wouldn't say I'm prolifically a Stephen King fan. I've just read a few of his books. It's unlike most of his other books. The thing that drew me to the first book, The Gunslinger, is I liked the idea of a more fantasy leaning Western, which is funny because I'm always like, I don't like Westerns, but I like Westerns. And that is what was appealing to me. I like the idea of this man with no name kind of situation chasing what is essentially a wizard. It's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely, I think, especially if you like, especially like Mike Flanagan and you're looking forward to the Dark Tower series that's coming out, it might be worth reading the books just to get prepared for it. But
yeah. I've seen everything that Flanagan has done through Netflix except for that last thing, because Fall of the House of Usher came out after we got rid of Netflix. And it really was the only thing that we were kind of hanging on to when we still had Netflix. It was like, I kind of don't want to get rid of Netflix because I like to be able to watch this stuff again sometimes.
Yeah.
The second series he did, the other haunted one, not the Haunted of Hill House, whatever that other one was called, got into more representation things that I really cared for, but it was still a good story. It just wasn't as, I don't think it
Bly
was.
Manor?
I haven't
seen Bly Manor.
It's not as good. The first one, The Haunting of Hill House, that's a that's a really good one.
Yeah. Did you see the Midnight Club?
No, that was like it brought back Bev from Midnight Mass,
Hmm.
but it was like a bunch of. I think the idea of it was like kids or people got together and they told like scary stories to each other,
Ah.
and it did not come across well. I don't think it had.
Oh, I see.
It wasn't viewed well, and I think he wanted to make a second season of it, and I think Netflix is like, nah. So I don't think that had anything to do with like them departing ways. I think it
Yeah,
was like
it looks like a young adult kind of thing.
I think it was one of those things that might be like a little personal pet project of his that he liked, and I guess that's one of the things that we've come to find out through talking about different properties that sometimes creators don't always respond super well when their stuff is rejected.
Yeah,
like Otomo from
yeah.
Akira and Steamboy. When Steamboy came out and got rejected, he's like, "See you guys, I'm done." And I think Flanagan wanted that Midnight Club thing, from what I heard, to be better received, and it was not. So never seen it, so don't know what the deal was with that. But
that's why it wasn't well received. People didn't see it.
I just saw that it had the lady that played Bev in it from Midnight Mass, and I kind of want to see her do a role where I like her, because man, I hate that character so much from Midnight Mass. I can't imagine like seeing that woman in public and not just being like, "Oh, it's like I don't like you." It's like you're just acting. But
I feel like I've seen her in something.
oh, I had her name up here because I was looking at
Samantha
Hamish.
Sloylan.
Yeah,
Sloyan.
I was looking at Hamish earlier, and I had him up or had her up because of that.
Yeah.
I see her picture and I click on it, and I'm just
hey,
like,
she's in The Exorcist.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
He likes to work with the same people, and I like most of the people that he uses. So honestly, the guy that gets burned up in the boat in Midnight Mass, the one that's you kind of starts out and you think he's the main guy. I can't remember the characters. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see him be Eddie
Right.
Dean, because he's that age demographic that would kind of fit into that spot.
She was in 20 episodes of Grey's Anatomy, and my wife loves Grey's Anatomy. I bet that's where I think I know her from.
But your wife has not seen Midnight Mass, right?
No, not a horror fan, especially demons.
Yeah, Zach Gilford is the guy that played Riley Flynn in that.
Okay.
And I know he likes Henry Thomas. He uses her again and again, uses him again and again and stuff. I don't see a place for him in the Dark Tower stuff. He's Elliot from E.T.
Yeah.
I mean, even as an older actor, I just don't see I don't see a place for him. There was, gosh, what was that? I didn't even think about that girl. The crippled girl that gets to walk.
Yeah. Yeah, we discussed the possibility of her playing Odetta.
Anara Simone. She is 25 years old now.
Yeah.
So it's a possibility.
Yep. But that would be for another discussion, just about looking at Flanagan's casting of his other shows to fill in the Dark Tower. But we're not doing that next week. This next week will be one of our weekly episodes where we both bring just some stuff we want to talk about, essentially.
Yeah, we'll be switching over to that format going forward. So we will. I don't even have any idea what we'll do on that.
Nope. Yeah, it's just we'll know on the day.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, Joel. I'll see you next week.
All right.
And see you next week.
Later.